right, join me right now is UFC lightweight contender Dan Hooker. What's going on, Dan? It's been a while. How's life treating you?
Life is treating me very well. Everyone's good, no real complaints. Family's happy, friends are healthy. Everything's running smooth back in New Zealand.
Good. You know, your gym, Combat Academy. Give us an update on that. Have you been affected by any like lockdowns or anything lately?
Not really lately. They went into another lockdown when I was doing my 2 weeks quarantine. Like one of those weeks, New Zealand went back into like a lockdown then, so the gym shut down for a week, but it wasn't too affected. Just like the shows that week got pushed a couple of weeks back. But yeah, like big things coming up. There's a few big shows coming up in New Zealand, so it's exciting times.
Any of your guys fighting on those shows?
Yeah, so I got Aaron Toe is fighting Logan Price he's on the main event of there's a big XFC card coming up in 2 weeks time. So that's for the XFC Pro Bantamweight title. So that's a rematch of the first one. Aaron picked up a decision there. So yeah, it's exciting. So teammates of mine, another coach at the gym, Kieran Joblin, he's fighting. So there's guys that have just been itching to fight, you know, and these are guys that are used to fighting overseas or used to traveling internationally to fight, like real experienced guys. BJ Bland, Kieran Joblin, like two guys with 30, 40 something fights. So it's been hard for them to get fights here in New Zealand, but we found some boys mad enough to take the fights or with enough balls to get in there with the boys. So it's exciting times to have guys that experienced in New Zealand being able to now finally get back in the cage.
You do a scholarship program, like a mentorship program at your gym. When's the next cycle? Has it come up yet?
I try to, like, it's like anything I do. It's like no real time frame to it. I'll just when the energy's there. I kind of like to get everyone that like won it on track or get them later. It's not like a high turnover thing. It's like Aaron Toe's fighting in the main event. He was a scholarship winner. You know what I mean? And so it's coming to those next stage of guys. They're starting to fight now. They're starting to compete, so we're starting. Like it takes a long time to understand a fighter, get to know his game, get to know his style. I think that's a lot of what a lot of people don't understand is that it takes time. Like a new fighter can't just go to a new gym and click his fingers and expect results straight away. It takes time for a coach and a fighter to understand each other, to get to know each other. So we're in that process now where these guys that won the last one are just starting to fight. You know, we're just starting to speak the same language and understand each other. So I would like to get those boys on track and moving towards their goals before I would run another mentorship program.
Understandable. Now, you see that a lot, you know, at the top of the game in the UFC, guys will switch gyms, and if they lose, they blame the gym most of the time, and they blame the switch, right?
Yeah, but it's you can't expect like that result. Yeah, you can't expect that result to impact like too heavily. Like you can't, especially a guy that's like super experienced. It's hard for them to change, or it's hard for them to like absorb new information at that level. You know, it's the way I explain it to guys is like if they come to the gym and they hit me up straight away. They're like, Dan, I want to fight. Oh, there's a fight coming up in a couple of weeks, and it's like, I could corner you, yeah, but I'm going to be a cheerleader in your corner because we don't speak the same language. Like you've been training with someone else for the last 10 years. You're going to come to me and I'm going to understand. No one is that magical. Like we have to understand each other. I need to know what motivates you. I need to know what triggers you, how you think. Like these are huge factors. So yeah, for guys like chopping and changing camps, because I used to do the exact same thing. It's just something was being, young, you're like easily impressionable. If there's someone saying, "Oh, I'm the best gym in the world, I'm the best coach in the world," you kind of gravitate towards it. You kind of gravitate towards like the loudest person. But it was good of Eugene at City Kickboxing. He let us, like, he kind of pushed us to go and explore for ourselves. Like I've said it, Brad said it as well. Like he said, yeah, go to Thailand, go to America, go travel, go learn. And then I go to all these places and I realize what I had back in New Zealand. But it's not till you go and experience it for yourself until you can kind of truly understand it.
Definitely. Now, let's get into the fight, your last fight, Michael Chandler. I watched all the interviews that you did after the fight, and you're good at moving on from setbacks, coming back strong. We've seen you do it before. There's this big silver lining, I think, in this sport at the top of the game where you could fight one time and it gets you right back into the spotlight. Is that something that you think about?
Oh, that's something I know as being part of this sport, is that you're as good as your last fight. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you've accomplished in this sport. You're as good as your first fight in the general perception of the fans' eyes. It was like you're as good as your last fight. Man, you lose, like I got knocked out. You're the worst in the world. You're shit. You can't, like, you're nothing. But I'll win in my next fight. Oh, you could win that title. You'll be back. Like, people are very easily, they're very easily swayed by your like a highlight reel and a last performance. It's quite funny to watch. But definitely I've been in this long enough that I definitely understand. Things can get turned around in a single performance.
I think that's why a lot of people are attracted to the sport, because like you just mentioned, the highs and the lows. Their highs are highs and lows are lows.
Oh, 100%. Like we're on a roller coaster. The fans are on a roller coaster with you. I understand. That's what it is. That is the reassuring thing to me. It's I missed that moment, and people were saying, "Oh, now he's fighting for the title. That could have been you." Oh, yeah. But if I would have won the other fight before that, or the other fight before, like things happen. Like the results happen. I can't control the past. I can't change the results of that. I have confidence in my ability, and I know full well what I'm capable of doing, and I feel like that's the main thing. Like losing that fight or losing the Poirier fight, they didn't make me any worse of a fighter. They were just the outcome, or they were just a result of the contest, but they didn't make me any worse of a fighter. I know how skillful I am. I know what I'm capable of. So that's the main thing. I would rather have the skill set that I have and be at the place that I'm at right now as a martial artist than switch that result and have less skill than I have now. I feel like my ability is where I get my confidence from, and my ability is the main thing. Like results happen. Like I'm a fighter through and through. Like they're really gonna have to drag me out of the sport. It's it's something that I know full well. So this is not the last time that this is ever gonna happen to me, that I'm gonna lose a big fight. So it comes down to learning how to grow from it and learning how to deal with it. It's just a result. You can't hold on to it forever. You have to let it go, move on from it, and look to the next one.
When did you get back into the gym at City Kickboxing?
The day I got out of quarantine. So it was good. It was good to get back. But I got back and everyone else was away. So, Brad, Shane, Kai, Israel, you, like Carlos, the whole team was away. But there's a lot of guys here that it was good to get back on the mats with and get back training with and get back working with. So it's been good to be back on the mats. But yeah, it was the day I got out of quarantine.
Is it good to just be training and not worrying about, who you're gonna fight next or if you got a contract lined up?
Like it's I would explain it's like uh it's an ember. Like even after like a loss like that, of course it's disheartening. Like of course like that burning flame gets kind of extinguished for a bit and it goes back down to an ember, but the ember slowly starts burning again, and it starts burning, and it starts getting bigger, and it starts turning into a fire, and then it like that's just the like never ending cycle of being a competitive martial artist. Like you can't just run it like you do it when you're a teenager. You're running around like fight, like regardless of the result. But it's a cycle. You know what I mean? So it's like you get disheartened, the flame goes out, the ember burns bright again, turns back into a flame, and you're itching to fight. And I feel like I'm in a position now where like my body's healthy. I've had a good amount of time off. I recovered well. I recovered like real quickly, and yeah, I'm starting to get itchy. I'm like just about to come into a flame. I would say I'm a burning hot ember. It's about to get heated up again, and I'm excited. I'm excited. I was standing in the kitchen the other night, and I told my wife, I'm ready to fight again. I feel like I feel like I feel like getting in a fist fight right now. Like I'm ready to go.
All right, well, it's perfect timing, man, because you got this huge card coming up, UFC 262. The vacant lightweight titles on the line, Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira. When you heard that news, when you heard the matchup for the title, what was your reaction?
I understood it, and I definitely understood it. Part of me was salty for a couple of days, um, just knowing the way that turned out, and how close I was to the goal. That's been my main motivation for my career is the title, and to come that close um, against a guy like that, it would have been perfect. It would have been outstanding. But you gotta let it go. That's a good matchup. I'm excited for both of those guys. One of them's walking away with the belt. Um, yeah, you're happy for your. It's funny. It's funny. It's a funny thing for people to understand. Even like fans of the sport to understand how we view like our opposition, or how we view the people we fight, because it's incredibly competitive. Of course I'm envious of that. I'm mad at the result. I'm envious of them getting that opportunity and not me, and there's all of that kind of emotion, but it's very motivating. And I need those guys. I need Chandler. I need Oliveira. I need Poirier. I need McGregor. I need those guys in those kind of positions to motivate myself. Like that's what gets me out of bed every morning is the competition, is the level of competition. Yes, I don't dislike them. Like that's not the thing. I say nasty things to them, and I'm gonna smash their faces in, and I say I'm gonna rip his arm off, and I say he's a broomstick, but it's like that will bring out the best in him. That will motivate him to fight me. That will bring out the best in him, and that in turn will bring out the best in me. So it's like a weird balance of competitiveness, respect, um, envy. Like it's a weird mix of emotion. But I need those guys to be there.
Charlie Olives, man, that was one of the best things that came out of that press conference ahead of that fight. I feel like that was underwhelming, you know what I mean? That press conference. What did you think of the press conference now that you look back at it? Was it just not what you expected?
Oh, I thought we were gonna have more digs at each other. It was turning into the pat on the back bloody press conference. I was like, man, this is not turning out how I thought it was going to turn out. I thought we were all going to get up there and argue.
Yeah.
Someone's going to have to say something nasty to someone. I was like, we were having a competition to see who the best dad in the world was, or something like that. It's not definitely not how I thought it would play out.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people, they didn't expect that. Now with Chandler and Oliveira, who do you think goes in there with the advantages? Who do you think wins that fight?
I think it's a good stylistic matchup for Chandler, just being like a good defensive wrestler, shorter, stockier guy with power in his hands. It makes for a hard fight stylistically for Oliveira. But then again, I was a terrible stylistic matchup for Chandler, and I got knocked out in the first round. So it's like this game of ours, anything can happen.
With the fight, it seemed like the original fight was Poirier versus Chandler, and you see reports saying that Poirier passed on the title fight so he could take the trilogy with McGregor. Do you feel like that kind of diminishes the value of the UFC belt? That Poirier's not fighting for it?
Nah, I don't. It definitely doesn't diminish the value of the title. It would have been like, it is what it is. He's obviously getting more financial reward for fighting Conor McGregor, and he knows with a win like he gets the title shot regardless of that. So it's yeah, it definitely doesn't diminish the value in the title. Like, the title is still means so much to a lot of people. Yeah, it definitely doesn't diminish it. It just shows the power of that McGregor fight, and the kind of money that comes with that.
With let's say you're in that position, that you have two options. You have the McGregor fight, and then you have the belt, but you already earned the belt in the past. You're a former champion. So the money fight is something that you would probably sway towards more than anything, right?
I think it would be silly to not sway towards the money fight every single time. The ultimate goal of this is to make sure that the people around you are financially looked after for the rest of their days. So to chase a piece of gold over looking after your family, I feel is a mistake.
Ahead of the rematch, right, between Poirier and McGregor, you told me like it'd be silly for Conor to take the rematch, and you had your reasons why. But he took it. He went in there, got knocked out. Do you feel like Conor, he's become his own worst nightmare, like his ego, or has money changed him? A lot of people are talking about that too.
It's hard to say. I don't know the guy. I don't know the guy from a bar of soap. I've seen him across a room a few times. So it's hard. It's hard for me to comment on mistakes he's making or things he's doing wrong when I'm not. I'm like the rest of us. I only see pictures and bits and pieces here and there on social media. I can't comment on being like very experienced in this game, or if I was in the same position. Like, that's just one of the rules of thumb. If you knock a guy out in the first round, you never take a rematch unless you can do better than the first time. That's a simple rule of fighting. Never take a rematch unless you can do better than the first time. He knocked them out in the first round. To take the rematch, it's hard to beat that, and look what happened in the second fight. So it's but it's difficult. It's difficult for me to comment on that, and it's even strange that he's taken the rematch in such a short space of time. Like, I know a date's not been set for McGregor Poirier 3, but even in 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, that's not a lot of time to make any real kind of adjustments. That's not a great deal of time to adjust and improve. It would be probably wiser to take 1 or 2 other fights and then come back to that fight. Like McGregor's always going to sell those kind of numbers on a pay-per-view, I think. Yeah, make some give the time to make the adjustments that you need to make before you set up the rematch.
If he continues losing, though, I don't think he's won a fight in a while now, and if he did, it's been a while. If he continues losing, is that flame gonna eventually get to break down to an ember? What's gonna happen to him?
Well, we're just gonna have to wait and see what the pay-per-views on the next one do, and the next one, and the next one. Like, as for now, it's not going anywhere. That last fight was, he wasn't on the best record coming into that last fight, and he still did the second highest selling pay-per-view of all time. Like, that guy's people pay to watch Conor McGregor fight. It's just the way it is.
It is. Now, the other guy on the, that I thought was going to fight McGregor next was Nate Diaz. News breaks he's going to fight Leon Edwards. Did that surprise you?
Man, I when Dana was saying, oh, we got something for Nate Diaz. Fuck, I thought that was me. I was like, man, that's me. They're talking about me. I lost the fight, man. I missed out on that opportunity. That's another huge opportunity that I missed out on. So, he needed to look for another fight that made sense. Leon Edwards does make sense. Technically he's a great fighter, and he definitely deserves the position that he's in, but he's not like the most physically imposing of the welterweights. Nate has struggled with the welterweights who are, like a Rory McDonald, a guy that's like big, cuts a lot of weight, and can really get on him and out wrestle him and throw him around. Leon Edwards is more of a technician. Nate obviously doesn't want to cut the weight unless potentially it's for a title or for something that makes sense. So I'm not at all surprised by that. Leon's in title contention for welterweight, so a win over him either sets Nate up for a welterweight title shot, or a win over Leon Edwards would even justify him dropping down to lightweight and fighting for the lightweight title. So that's a perfect fight for Nate.
Wow, I didn't even think of that. That is something that could be in the future for Nate Diaz. This matchup, do you think it's a perfect example of there being two ways to get to the top of the division? There's the ticket sales way, like with Nate, and then there's the pure merit with Leon, because it doesn't seem like Leon is that popular of a fighter.
There's but you need to look at it from like the UFC's viewpoint. The UFC is always in a win-win situation. It's just, regardless of who wins a fight, the UFC wins. Trust me. If Nate wins, well, perfect. We get Nate Diaz in a title fight. We sell lots of pay-per-views. If Leon Edwards wins, a guy with an incredible record but is missing that fan support, or is missing that those eyeballs on him, he goes out there and he beats a guy like Nate Diaz, then he steals a lot of our eyeballs. Now you turn a guy who who had a great record with not a lot of people watching him. Now he's got a lot of people watching him because they know him as the guy that beat Nate Diaz. So regardless of who wins, Leon Edwards or Nate Diaz, the UFC has some big fights in the future. The UFC in that fight especially is in a win-win situation.
A lot of movement. You even have the co-main event with Beneil Dariush and Tony Ferguson. They could be the backup to that fight. They're always talking about that. Now, where do you fit in, do you think, in this big mix-up?
I got no idea. I got no idea, man. Well, I really have to wait and see. obviously there's only two real names out there at the moment, and that's Gaethje or RDA. Gaethje, I feel like will sit and wait. He will sit and wait. His only, his most recent defeat is to Khabib. Like a lot of people, if you give that enough time, will like brush that off. Like, I lost to Khabib, but come on, Khabib's the GOAT. Khabib's the pound for pound. Like a lot of people will be able to brush that off. So I feel like Gaethje right now is in a position for a huge opportunity. He just has to sit and wait. I feel like it'll be dangerous for him to fight a guy like RDA. It'll be very dangerous for him to fight a guy like me and give me an opportunity to kind of jump the queue again and get in a position like that. So I feel like he'll sit and wait. I don't feel like he'll fight until those fights play out. The Dariush Ferguson, the Chandler Oliveira, the Poirier McGregor. Until all of those fights play out, I don't feel like we're gonna see Gaethje again. That leaves RDA. That's a fight that I would like. That's a former champion coming back, beating Felder. He did incredible in that fight. That's definitely a fight. So that behind Gaethje would be the number one on my list.
So would you just sit back and wait, sit back and see what Gaethje does, and then maybe wait until after 262 and then make a decision on what's next for your career?
I don't really care. I don't really care who it is. I don't really care if he's ranked higher, if he's ranked lower. Like my next fight will come down to like the time frame of, like I said after the last fight, that I was like out of time with my team. Like I was fighting, and then my team was fighting, then I was fighting, then my team was fighting. For the last few times, so I've been a bit out of whack. When my team's ready to fight, maybe the next time Israel fights, like it's a lot easier for us to kind of fight and travel and move as a team, with the quarantines, with the booking and isolation. Like it's pretty difficult for us to get out, and you can see in the last two performances that's really been impacting me inside of the cage. So it would be silly of me to make the same mistakes and expect a different result by compromising my training camp, compromising my team, and then expecting a different result inside of the cage from the last two fights. So I need to wait for my team. So it's kind of comes down to whenever my team's ready to go again, when my coaches can go away, when Kai or Israel or Volkanovski get back on a card, that's when I'll be out there. And it's whoever's ready. I honestly, I'm not waiting on an opponent. That's not something I'm waiting on. I'm waiting for my team.
No one could ever hate you for taking those fights against Poirier and Chandler, even though there weren't the best circumstances. You know what I mean? Poirier was on short notice. Chandler, you're waiting for the contract during the training camp. It must have been a wild time. The last two fights, I see where you're coming from. Dan, I appreciate the time, man. You're taking off your day, and always enjoy our chats. And man, I hope we do see you sooner rather than later.
I'm ready to go. Gaethje, nah.
Take a move in the ring. You can hit me with the words you fling.